Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
All right, there it is, the result. Should Hunter Biden's laptop have been more extensively covered in the final days of the 2020 campaign? 31,000 and change. Now they tell me many more than that have voted. 73% say no. I'm in the 27%. I say yes.
Hold up.
And I'm in good company, by the way, with Ro Khanna, head of one of the leaders of the Progressive Caucus in the Democratic caucus, represents Silicon Valley, and now we know he was telling them, hey, you're making this more about censorship. Quick reaction, Catherine, what do we have from social media? What the heck happened to CNN and Smirkanis? He's spending his time on air giving credence to this Hunter Biden nonsense, falling on, no, you're disgusting, just Lisa? So Lisa, you'd rather I repeat the mistake that was made in the 11th hour of the campaign and just ignore the whole issue today? No.
Something ain't right.
All you're doing is making it larger. Then you're to confront the issue and deal with it head on, which is what should have happened in the waning days of the 2020 campaign. Instead, Twitter treated it like it was a hack, then they knew it wasn't, and they continued that charade.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
So we told you on Friday about the internal documents from Twitter that Elon Musk released, gave them that Taibbi who wrote about them, and then they told us, Taibbi and Musk, said that this is just the first batch. You're going to get a lot more in the days to come over the weekend and yesterday, but they never came. That's kind of weird. The deadline came and went. What happened? Well, we learned today what happened. This weekend, Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, who's helping in this reporting, found out that the general counsel of Twitter, that would be the former FBI general counsel, James Baker, had been vetting the documents before Taibbi and Weiss could see them. In other words, removing the ones that might incriminate him or the feds. Apparently, even Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, didn't know this was happening. Now, keep in mind, he's looking for evidence of sinister intent. This same Jim Baker was one of the architects of the Russia collusion hoax in 2016. This is the guy who obtained the fraudulent FISA warrants and targeted Michael Flynn, for example. So this afternoon, Elon Musk fired Baker from Twitter. Quote, in light of concerns about Baker's possible role in suppression of information important to the public dialogue, he was exited from Twitter today. An amazing story that just happened.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple. Just like dominoes, one by one, they'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens. I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis- or disinformation. And I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are. Second, I will order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship. Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination. We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation and promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis- and disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs that support this authoritarian project. If any U.S. university is discovered to have engaged in censorship activities or election interferences in the past, such as flagging social media content for removal of blacklisting, those universities should lose federal research dollars and federal student loan support for a period of 5 years and maybe more. Also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution and deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country. Furthermore, to confront the problems of major platforms being infiltrated by legions of former deep staters and intelligence officials, there should be a 7-year cooling off period before any employee of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DNI, DHS, or DOD is allowed to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data. Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose.
But you remember when they censored the Hunter Biden laptop, right? And this is Matt Orful had put together a little bit of a mashup, and here's just some of it.
Altered or fake, unverified emails.
The story did not quite land due to the lack of verification.
This can be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say that?
Well, because it can't be verified.
I don't even want to report this. This is one of the most powerful
because Liz,
families in Washington.
I'm a journalist.
Okay, I would
Ask you a
love if
question
you guys
about-
would start doing that verification.
No, we're not going to do your work for you.
It's a journalist's
Contrary.
Not anymore.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
Not really stories, just pure distractions. No serious journalist should fall for it.
It's a journalist's
Contrary
job
to what
to
President-
find out if this is verified.
The bottom line is we cannot confirm the story.
Experts say the emails cannot be authenticated.
The mainstream media is not reporting on this story because we can't authenticate this material.
So that was the story. Here's one more.
Classic example of the right-wing media. It just lacks credibility. The fact that it appeared in the New York Post,
The only place low enough to put this orphan bastard story in print.
Obvious disinformation.
It is so obviously a Russian operation.
So obviously disinformation.
So obviously a Russian plot. Tell me why it's so obviously a Russian plot, Steve.
It's obvious. It's obvious it's a Russian plot.
This is this classic textbook Soviet-Russian tradecraft at work.
Right, exactly. And this is classic, very classic Russian disinformation tactic.
your classic disinformation campaign.
We shouldn't just look at it as anything other than a Russian disinformation operation.
No Kremlin disinformation.
Russians would be my number one guess.
Obviously, Russia.
Russian disinformation operation.
Russian disinformation.
Pushing Russian disinformation.
It does bear the hallmarks of Russian disinformation.
Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo.
Hunter Biden's laptop looks like it's tied to Vladimir Putin in Moscow.
Is that laptop yours?
I don't know.
I actually, you don't.
The serious answer is that I truly do not know the answer to that.
Did you leave a laptop with a repairman
Not
in
that I
Wilmington?
remember.
Not that you remember.
No. I truly don't know.
Are you missing a laptop?
Not that I know of.
What?
This whole operation looks right out of the Kremlin playbook.
The playbook of Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation put into the haystack.
Russian disinfo.
Sounds like bullshit. I mean, who takes a laptop with their most personal information, drops it off, and never comes back to it?
I'm gonna say Hunter Biden, the crackhead. That's who does that. Michael Smerconish. That guy does that. He did that. You read the book and you'll realize that I wasn't keeping tabs on possessions very well for about a 4-year period of time.
The Russian disinformation campaign.
Disinformation from the Russians. Putin is trying very hard to spread disinformation about Joe Biden.
The Biden campaign says this is Russian disinformation.
There's overwhelming evidence that the Russians are engaged. It's a Russian plan.
Russian disinformation.
Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
So could have been.
That's hot.
History will expose you all as fools and useful idiots for the Russians. The idiots.
So, well, guess what? Now CBS News is saying this.
And as Republicans take control of the House, Hunter Biden, the president's son, will be a target for investigations. And that means data from a laptop reported to belong to Biden could be crucial to the investigatory process. CBS News has obtained its data not through a third party or.
So now that the Republicans are in control of Congress and they're going to be investigating Hunter Biden's laptop, now the mainstream news has to come around and tell you it's actually legitimate. It actually is Hunter Biden's laptop, and we're just finding this out now. Watch this.
Jimmy, Brian Stelter still is missing, so if anyone has information.
Political operative, but directly from the source who told us they provided it to the FBI under subpoena. And we commissioned an independent forensic review to determine its authenticity. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Harris joins us now with what we found. Catherine, I'm very interested. Good morning.
Good morning, Tony. These House Republican investigations are coming, and that could be a challenge for the White House as we head into 2023 and 2024. The laptop data we had analyzed showed no evidence it was faked or tampered with.
So there you go. They found no evidence that it was faked or tampered with. So that's another way of saying, which they won't say it. Another way of saying is the laptop is authentic. It was Hunter Biden's, and everything in it is true and real.
The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
Hold your breath. Cry your tears. Pass out on the floor.
Come with me. Twitter's free. Say goodbye to Shadow Banning Nation. Take a look. There is no more frustration. Let's begin. Come right in To a world that loves the Constitution, you can tweet without the worry of suspension. If you want a free paradise, simply log in and view it. Watching all the liberals lose it. Deactivate account. Go ahead and do it. There is no life I know that compares with freedom of expression. Tweeting here, you'll be free if you truly want to be. If you want to see Democrats crying out their eyes so stupid, count, go ahead and do it. There is no life I know that compares with freedom of expression. Tweeting here, you'll be free if you truly want to be.
The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.